that I can think of. Somebody says I'm a work junkie. Queen Fumi, I know your house. I'll come and visit you. You're calling me a work junkie, right?
Yeah,
So yeah.
for me, I feel as if we both, we like to communicate. One thing that pleases him is having open communication and also asking him what he needs from me in the moment. I'm constantly asking him what does he need from me, because I think that's one thing we don't really attack in relationships. We just see what people can do for us, and I'm
Yeah.
always asking, what do you need from me? And then I say, and what does that look like for you? So he can, because I always remind people, if you don't say it out loud, it doesn't exist, because there's so many ideas going on in your head. At any moment, it can just go out, like how you can forget something in a moment if you don't write it down. And I feel
Yes.
as if you say it out loud, it now becomes tangible. And so I always ask them, what does that look like for you? So I can make sure I do it in the way that you're expecting, or letting myself know if I'm able or capable to even do, if living up to that expectation, because everybody's capacity is different. And
It's
so I
different.
always tell him, like, you might be a 2 liter in something and I might be a can, or vice versa. So you can't overflow me with expectation. Give you an example, we got a dog, and I had the expectation because he's been wanting a dog, and this was going to please him. He wanted a dog, and I was like, I just knew. He's like, I've had a dog. I used to have a dog, and he always would say all this shit. And so my expectation is, well, you're the dog guru. We get the dog. It is like shit show city here, okay? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But he said to me, I said, I thought you knew all this. And he said, who gave you that expectation? You or me? And I
Oh
said,
wow.
oh my God, I'd never asked the right questions. I just assumed. I just assumed that because you had a dog, I didn't realize that maybe your mom handled all the stuff that the dog, because she was the adult when you had the dog in the house. And so having those type of expectations with lack of information is ridiculous. And it leads you to places that you don't belong and that you don't like to go. So
Absolutely.
that's one thing about us, is making sure that, we communicate that and we see what it looks like for us. And then the other thing is sex. And so when we do have sex, it's asking, what do you need? What do you like? What don't you like? When do you need it? How often? And you had said something earlier today in one of your lives about even if you had sex once a month, if it was the best sex in that month, it's quality over quantity. And
Yes.
people think that because we're sexologists that we're having sex all day, and I'm like, no, we're sexologists, we're business women, so we're busy all day. And so the cool thing about us is that because I'm attentive and I ask questions and I make sure that I know when we do have sex, and even if it's for 9 days straight, or we don't have sex for 2 weeks and we had sex for 1 month, because of women things or whatever, he's like, that's the best sex ever. Like, it's so good, the quality of it. But it's because I'm very attentive to his needs, and not my wants. I kind of
Yes.
remove myself out of that, because as I do that, he's very attentive to me. And I think that's huge when it comes to pleasure. So like you said, communication, sex, and then just understanding and giving him his space. That pleases him to the T, because him having his space and me not being able to overcrowd that, and knowing that I'm only visiting him in his realm. I'm not there to rearrange stuff. I'm not there to move stuff around and say, oh, this looks better over here. I'm just over to visit him and then go back to mine. And I think people forget that, because you have to remember, you can coexist in you guys' own thing, but then you have your separate things that you don't have no business changing that. And I think he loves that. I respect that about him.
Amazing. That's really